emojis are kicking my butt, the show must go on. Thank you for coming back. Little Birdie told me that you've been bragging about the show because podcast host Transistor has informed me that Gen X Gonna Give It To You has been streamed in 25 countries. That's right. You heard me right. 25 countries, y'all. Appreciate y'all for that. Let's keep spreading this love. Hit that like and subscribe button. On today's episode, I revisit two trailblazing children's educational classics that made learning fun and taught Generation X just how resourceful we could be. Originally, I planned on adding the Electric Company and Schoolhouse Rock as well. I'm going to split it into two parts. In the meantime, can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Let's get into it. Sesame Street is one of the most influential children's television programs ever created. This educational program is considered culturally groundbreaking and beloved across generations. Sesame Street premiered November 10, 1969. It was created by Joan Gans Cooney and Lloyd Morissette. It was produced by Sesame Street Workshop. The show blends puppetry, live action animation, and music to teach literacy, numeracy, and social-emotional skills. It was revolutionary for using television as an educational tool, especially for underserved communities. The heart of the show comes from characters designed by Jim Henson. The core cast includes 8-foot-tall Big Bird, who represents a gentle, curious 6-year-old. His best friend is Mr. Snuffleupagus. Big Bird was conceived by Jim Henson and built by costume designer Kermit Love. Big Bird lives in a large nest at 123.5 Sesame Street, surrounded by human and Muppet neighbors who help him explore questions about friendship, learning, and feelings. Though sometimes naive and clumsy, he consistently models kindness and perseverance. His teddy bear Radar and his friend Snuff appear frequently in stories emphasizing empathy and imagination. A fixture in educational TV, Big Bird helped generations of children learn about letters, numbers, and life skills. Memorable storylines include coping with Mr. Hooper's death in 1983. Mr. Hooper was one of the first 4 human characters to appear on the show. Another memorable moment was rebuilding his nest after a hurricane. Both moments were praised for addressing grief and resilience in age-appropriate ways. Big Bird has appeared in films such as Sesame Street Presents, Follow That Bird, and Big Bird in China. He would get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame April 21st, 1994. Located at 7021 Hollywood Boulevard. In 2000, Big Bird was named a living legend by the United States Library of Congress. He is also featured on a U.S. postage stamp. Next up is Cookie Monster. His first appearance was in 1969. Cookie Monster evolved from early Muppet prototypes created by Jim Henson for snack commercials in the 60s, including characters nicknamed the Wheel Stealer and Arnold the Munching Monster. When he joined Sesame Street, writers quickly defined his personality through a sketch focused on his cravings for cookies. His distinct voice, googly eyes, and chaotic eating style became defining traits. His character is performed by Frank Oz and later David Rudman. Cookie Monster is exuberant, impulsive, and endlessly enthusiastic about food, especially chocolate chip cookies. His simplified speech patterns, such as "me want cookie," has become iconic. In the 2000s, the show re-emphasized health habits, portraying him as learning self-control and balance using phrases like, "cookies are sometimes food." He also co-hosts educational cooking segments such as Cookie Monster's Food Truck, teaching about nutrition and cooperation. Beyond Sesame Street, Cookie Monster has appeared on The Muppet Show, The Colbert Report, and numerous global productions. His image adorns books, toys, and educational campaigns worldwide. His personality encourages children to laugh, learn letters, and appreciate moderation, all while celebrating the simple joy of a cookie. Next up, Bert, the first half of a comedic duo highlighting friendship and personality differences. Bert, created by Jim Henson and performed by Frank Oz, was introduced in 1969 in the pilot episode. Bert is serious-minded, analytical, and somewhat fussy. He enjoys collecting bottle caps and paper clips, reading boring stories, and studying pigeons, especially his pet pigeon, Bernice. His routines and methodical habits often clash with Ernie's spontaneity, yet his patience and reliability make him a grounding force on the show. Since his debut, Bert has appeared in numerous educational sketches covering literacy, numeracy, and social themes. He has co-hosted spin-offs, such as Play With Me Sesame, and has appeared in films like Follow That Bird and Adventures of Elmo and Grouchland. His enduring friendship with Ernie continues to model empathy, humor, and acceptance for young viewers. Bert remains a pop culture fixture, appearing in parades, merchandise, and international Sesame Street productions. His balanced dynamic with Ernie has inspired academic commentary on friendship and personality contrast in children's programming. More than 5 decades after his debut, Bert still represents the thoughtful side of Sesame Street's message of learning and kindness. The other half of this awesome duo is Ernie. He also first appears in 1969. He was created and performed by Jim Henson till 1990. Steve Whitmire and Bernie Barkhurst would continue the role. Ernie is cheerful, curious, and imaginative, often engaging in antics that contrast with Bert's more serious temperament. Living together at 123 Sesame Street, their friendship models cooperation and the humor in differences. Ernie's defining traits include a hearty chuckle, love of bath, and attachment to his Rubby Ducky, his constant character, and the subject of his signature song, Rubby Ducky, You're the One. Through songs, sketches, and interactions, Ernie helps teach preschoolers social and emotional skills such as empathy, sharing, and understanding perspectives. His light-hearted mischief introduces lessons about responsibility and friendship. Rubber Ducky became a cultural hit, reaching the Billboard Hot 100 in 1970. Cementing Ernie as an icon of joyful learning. Another endearing character is Oscar the Grouch. He was created by Jim Henson and John Stone. He was performed by Carol Spinney from 1969 to 2018, then Eric Jacobson, overlapping from 2015 to present. Oscar resides in a trash can at 123 Sesame Street. Oscar embodies the opposite of Sesame Street's sunny optimism. He thrives on mess, noise, and irritation, insisting that being grouchy makes him happy. His love of trash from tin cans to banana peels reflects both humor and subtle environmental message about reuse and recycling. His friends include his pet worm, Slimy, elephant Fluffy, and pig Spot. Oscar has an on-again, off-again girlfriend, another grouch. Jim Henson originally conceived Oscar as a magenta monster, inspired by a rude waiter at a New York restaurant called Oscar's Salted to Sea. Because early color TV cameras struggled with certain hues, the puppet first appeared orange in Sesame Street's debut season, before turning green in season 2. The transformation was later explained on TV as Vacation to Swamp Mushy Muddy, where Oscar turned green from slime and mold. Oscar the Grouch is now part of Smithsonian's National Museum of American History collection. Oscar has appeared in Follow That Bird, The Adventure of Elmo and Grouchland, and various Muppet films. He remains an enduring symbol of the show's humor and empathy for all kinds of personalities. Next, we have Grover. He was designed by Jim Henson and performed by Frank Oz until 1998. You will hear me mention Frank Oz a lot because he has appeared, voiced, or directed many of our faves, like The Muppet Movie, The Blues Brothers, Trading Places, Knives Out, and he's the voice and puppeteer of Jedi Grandmaster Yoda. He directed The Dark Crystal with Jim Henson, The Muppets Take Manhattan, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, The Stepford Wives. I'm just finding out he directed one of my favorite movies, What About Bob, starring Bill Murray, Richard Dreyfuss, and Julie Haggerty. What about Bob? What about Bob? I'm seeing a Frank Oz episode on the horizon. Grover first appears in season 2. Grover is a furry blue Muppet that approaches every task with childlike optimism and persistence, often bugling his effort, but learning along the way. He is caring, excitable, and eager to help, though his helpfulness typically creates comic mishaps. Despite misadventures, he models resilience, empathy, and curiosity for young viewers. Grover has appeared in many recurring sketches that highlight different aspects of his personality. Waiter Grover is an inept but polite server to the long-suffering customer, Mr. Johnson. Super Grover / Super Grover 2.0 is a parody superhero who crash lands into problems rather than solving them. In later years, this character would be updated with STEM-themed investigative twists. Global Grover is a cultural explorer introducing children to traditions around the world. Grover has starred in numerous books, most famously The Monster at the End of This Book, a perennial bestseller that introduced generations of kids to interactive reading. One of my exes actually gifted me the book in adulthood. I've loved The Monster at the End of the Book ever since. Grover's friendly rapport with other Sesame Street characters, especially Kermit the Frog, and his endearing humor have made him one of the franchise's most beloved characters for over 5 decades. The Smithsonian Institution holds one of the original Grover puppets, recognizing his cultural significance. And we can absolutely not forget the Count. Count Van Count is a friendly vampire-like Muppet. parodying Bela Lugosi's Dracula. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Yes, there shall be an Abbott and Costello episode featuring the iconic Universal monsters Dracula, Frankenstein, Invisible Man, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and the Mummy. Don't act like your Sunday mornings didn't include these legends in their hijinks. Anyway, the Count personifies a humorous obsession with numbers and counting, teaching generations of children basic arithmetic through song, laughter, and lightning-filled theatrics. Created by Jim Henson and Carolee Wilcox, performed by Jerry Nelson from 1972 to 2012, then Matt Vogel from 2013 to now. The Count resides in a Gothic castle in a Transylvania-style setting. He first appears in Season 4, counting blocks alongside Bert and Ernie. He rocks lavender skin, fangs, a monocle, that's a single eyeglass, and a formal cape. His rolling accent and laugh accompany thunder and lightning effects said to come from his personal storm cloud. Early sketches emphasized a darker hypnotic persona, later softened into an affable educator beloved by audiences. The Count's life revolves around numbers. He counts bats, furniture, clouds, or even himself. Interruptions to his counting can irritate him, though he remains well-meaning and polite. Folklore inspiration underlies his compulsive tallying because legendary vampires were once thought to be distracted by scattered seeds. Through segments like Number of the Day, he turns arithmetic into music and plays, often using his pipe organ to punctuate each numeral. His songs Counting is Wonderful and The Batty Bat blend Balkan and Romani-style rhythms with rhythmic repetition that reinforces learning. The Count has appeared in Follow That Bird, The Adventures of Elmo and Grouchland, and other Muppet specials. Recognizable worldwide, he remains an icon of joyful numeracy, a gentle Gothic mentor who made mathematics both spooky and fun. Now, I want to give a special shout out to Elmo, the cheerful red monster who is introduced in 1980 and becomes insanely popular in the 90s. Remember Tickle Me Elmo? Everybody was trying to get their hands on one of those for Christmas. Elmo helped revitalize the Sesame Street brand. Sesame Street also had human characters that we also grew to love. Unlike many kids' shows, Sesame Street integrated diverse human characters interacting naturally with Muppets. Gordon Robinson first appears in 1969. He is a school teacher and community mentor. He is the husband of Susan Robinson. He was portrayed by Matt Robinson from 1969 to 1972, then Hal Miller, 1972 to 1974, then Roscoe Orman, 1974 to 2016. We'll see him and his wife around Sesame Street. Gordon Robinson was conceived as a knowledgeable and caring adult figure who guided children through everyday problems and educational lessons. In the early episodes, he introduced us to the concept of the integrated urban neighborhood central to the show's mission. His gentle humor and authority helped ground the fantastical Muppet world in relatable human experience. The character evolved from a teacher into a broader mentor role, often modeling empathy, curiosity, and community involvement. As one of the first recurring Black father figures on American children's television, Gordon represented inclusive family life and positive reinforcement at a time of social change. His long tenure made him a cornerstone of Sesame Street's identity, and his presence influenced portrayals of educator and parents across other children's programming. Susan Robinson first appears in 1969. She is a nurse and a community role model. She is the wife of Gordon Robinson. Susan is a show original human character helping to bridge the world of adults and children in educational settings. Alongside Gordon, she offered emotional warmth, stability, and guidance to the show's younger viewers. As the show progressed, her career would transition to homemaker and teacher. Susan represented the caring adult presence in multicultural, urban environments that modeled friendship and cooperation. She frequently appeared in musical segments and storylines emphasizing respect, empathy, and learning through everyday experiences. Her relationship with Gordon and their adopted son Miles reflected positive portrayals of family life and adoption on children's television. As one of the earliest African-American female characters in educational television, Susan Robinson, through Loretta Long's portrayal, helped shape inclusive representation in children's media. Her character contributed to Sesame Street's mission of combining entertainment with social learning, modeling, community involvement, and mutual understanding for generations of viewers. Bob Johnson was another original human resident of Sesame Street. He is portrayed by Bob McGrath. Bob is known as the neighborhood's music teacher, friendly neighbor, and moral anchor. He often helps children and Muppets solve problems calmly. You can rely on Bob for his warm, approachable demeanor. His approach to literacy and music became cherished. Bob frequently led songs about letters, numbers, and everyday life. He used simple melodies to reinforce learning concepts. Big Bert and Ernie often performed alongside the music teacher. He often acted as a bridge between the real world, making everything feel believable and grounded. Bob played a central role in one of the most powerful scenes in children's television history, the episode addressing the death of Mr. Hooper. Alongside Big Bird, Bob gently explains the concept of death in a clear, compassionate way. The moment showed how Sesame Street trusted children to handle real-life emotions. Bob's character helped define what adults on children's TV could be: respectful of children's intelligence, emotionally supportive, without being condescending. He helped set the standard for educational TV hosts that followed. Next, we have Maria, portrayed by Sonia Manzano. First appeared in 1971. She would become co-owner of the Fix-It shop and community member. Maria began as a teenager working in the neighborhood's library and later co-managed the Fix-It shop with Louis. Maria's presence broke barriers in American television. As the first Latina character on Sesame Street, she offered Latino and urban children a chance to see themselves reflected in educational media for the first time. Manzano infused the character with elements of her own Nuyorican identity, using Spanglish naturally and pushing for accurate cultural details from Puerto Rican foods to neighborhood diversity. Maria remains a touchstone of representation in the U.S. pop culture. Through her, Sonia Manzano helped shape the inclusive spirit of Sesame Street, teaching children that every community member, regardless of language or background, has something valuable to share. Luis Rodriguez first appears in 1971, Season 3. He is portrayed by Emilio Delgado. Luis was introduced as the friendly handyman who ran the Fix-It shop, pairing radios, toasters, and other household items for the residents of Sesame Street. His calm demeanor and helpfulness made him a reliable adult figure for young viewers. Delgado's portrayal often included singing and occasional guitar playing, adding to the show's musical and education's charm. Lewis's interactions with Muppets such as Big Bird, Oscar the Grouch, and Elmo reinforced lessons of cooperation and empathy. Emilio Delgado's Louis represented a groundbreaking portrayal of a Latino character in American television. In an era with few positive Hispanic roles, Louis was depicted as a hard-working, bilingual, family-oriented neighbor who shared Spanish language and culture naturally within the program. Delgado often incorporated Spanish phrases, famously calling Big Bird pájaro, which means bird, promoting multicultural inclusivity and language learning. In 1988, Louis and Maria get married. It was one of Sesame Street's most memorable moments, using family milestones to teach children about love, marriage, and parenting. Delgado remained with the show until 2016 and returned for its 50th anniversary celebration in 2019. His portrayal earned recognition for holding the longest-running role by a Mexican-American in U.S. TV, leaving a lasting legacy in children's media and Latino representation. All of the characters model urban community life, diversity, and cooperation. Sesame Street changed how children media works. It consisted of research board design built by using child psychology and educational research, as well as tested segments to maximize attention and retention. They also chose the fast-paced format inspired by commercials to keep kids engaged, adding short, memorable segments through songs, animations, and skits. Sesame Street revolutionized children's TV. After it, educational programming became standard. Shows like Blue's Clues and Dora the Explorer followed its model. Studies showed kids who watched regularly had improved reading and math skills. It helped close educational gaps, especially in low-income households. Sesame Street had a major global influence, adapted in over 150 countries. Sesame Street has won 215 Daytime Emmy Awards, 12 Primetime Emmy Awards, and 11 Grammy Awards. Throughout the year, Sesame Street had many musical or creative guests. Stevie Wonder performed Superstition and 1-2-3 Sesame Street, a fan favorite moment blending funk and education. Johnny Cash sang with the Muppets, bringing country music into kids' TV. Lena Horne delivered powerful musical performances and represented Black excellence on screen. James Earl Jones famously recited the alphabet in a dramatic, unforgettable performance. Carol Burnett brought sketch comedy energy to the show. Richard Pryor appeared in a rare kid-friendly role, showing his versatility. The cultural impact of the guests of the 70s reflected the civil rights era's progress. It introduced kids to serious artists in approachable ways. It also helped normalize diverse representation on TV. me. By the 80s, Sesame Street was a household staple, attracting Hollywood stars and major entertainers. Robin Williams delivered energetic, improvisational comedy with The Muppets. Whoopi Goldberg taught self-esteem and identity in memorable segments. Paul Simon performed and introduced kids to folk/pop music. Cyndi Lauper sang Girls Just Want to Have Fun in a kid-friendly version. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar taught counting and teamwork. The cultural impact of the 80s guests cemented Sesame Street as mainstream entertainment. It bridged education with pop culture, and it helped kids connect with big celebrities in a safe, learning-focused setting. In the 90s, the show leaned heavily into global superstars and rising pop culture icons. Tom Hanks taught counting in humorous, high-energy segments. Denzel Washington delivered powerful, calm storytelling and educational messages. Mariah Carey brought pop/R&B into the Sesame Street world, making a memorable appearance where she was humorously spoofed as a cow named Mariah Cowrie. She performed Some Hay, a playful parody on her hit Someday. It showcased her unique blend of humor and music appealing to both children and adults. Garth Brooks connected country music with younger audiences. Michael Jordan appeared in segments emphasizing practice, discipline, and counting. Drew Barrymore appeared in fun, lighthearted sketches with Elmo and Friends. The cultural impact of the 90s guests reinforced Sesame Street as a global cultural institution. It helped launch Elmo into superstardom, and it blended education with celebrity-driven entertainment. Across all 3 decades, guest appearances made learning feel exciting and relevant, introducing children to major cultural figures in early life. It helped parents enjoy the show alongside their kids, and it created iconic TV moments that still circulate today. More than 50 years later, the show remains relevant because it evolves with new generations, uses media responsibly for education, and continues to promote empathy, inclusion, and curiosity. So with all the achievements this pioneering show has earned, imagine me and millions others outraged when it began circulating online that Sesame Street had been canceled. Like, WTF? It's an international treasure. So I did a little research. Sesame Street has not been canceled. While it is true that Warner Brothers Discovery decided not to renew its deal for new episodes on Max, the show is still in production, and new episodes can now be seen on Netflix. It is described as having a slightly different format and tone. I haven't watched it yet. Have any of you watched the new episodes? Does your kids enjoy it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Does it measure up to the OG? Another educational series that's dear to our hearts? Zoom. Zoom was a groundbreaking children's television series that aired on PBS. It ran January 9th, 1972 to March 24th, 1978, and then was revived 1999 to 2005. The show's core idea was simple but powerful. Kids teaching and entertaining other kids. There were no adult hosts on screen, just a group of energetic kids called Zoomers leading everything themselves. Each episode followed a loose sketch-based structure with recurring segments. The show encouraged viewer interaction. Kids across America sent in ideas, jokes, recipes, and games. The famous address Zoom, ZOOM, Box 350, Boston, Massachusetts, 02134, became iconic. Zoom included educational segments that featured science experiments, math, logic puzzles, and language bits, including Ooby Dooby language, a playful coded language. Words were altered by inserting oob before vowels. Example, hello would become Hooba-Looba. It became a playground phenomenon for many kids. The Zoom performed skits and comedy bits, songs, dance, routines, short plays, and improvisation. There was a segment called Zoom Do Activities. This would include recipes, crafts, and games kids could try at home. The tone was informal, inclusive, and very participatory, making viewers feel part of the show. Unlike scripted shows, Zooms didn't have fictional characters. Instead, the characters played themselves, which made the show feel authentic. Some of the most recognizable Zoomers included Nancy Fields, who was an original cast member. Her presence in the original seasons helped establish the inclusive, peer-driven tone that distinguished Zoom from other children's programming of its era. Her presence in the original seasons helped establish the inclusive, peer-driven tone that distinguished Zoom from other children's programming of its era. Tommy White appeared during the show's early seasons and contributed to its distinctive blend of music, games, and creative activities presented by and for children. Cast members like White were chosen for their energy, imagination, and ability to relate to viewers through their informal dialogue. By Kids, for Kids segments. White participated in group skits, songs, and audience challenges that helped define Zoom's educational style. The program encouraged creativity and self-expression with recurring segments such as Zoom Mail and Zoom Do. Performers typically rotated after 1 or 2 seasons, keeping the lineup fresh for young audiences. White's season is remembered by fans for its upbeat group chemistry and the show's bright, minimalistic aesthetic. White's participation placed him among the first generation of young performers on public television to act as co-creators rather than scripted child actors. The show's enduring cultural footprint has made its cast members nostalgic figures for viewers who grew up during its original run. Another Zoomer, Bernadette Connors, was present from 1972 to 19. She is remembered for representing the inclusive, youth-driven spirit of 1970s educational television. Some of you may remember when she enchanted us with the outside-of-the-box arm twist introduction on season 2. I went back to see what the arm twist was, y'all. I remember it. We were all doing it. She goes by Bernadette Yo now, perhaps Yao now. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I found her YouTube page. It says she's a holistic health practitioner and meditation music composer. The description continues to say that she's back in front of the camera and still thinking outside the box. Well, the tissue box, actually. Zoom into action with Bernadette as she crafts her very own 4-string guitar out of common household items. And yes, you'll get to hear her speaking Ooby-Dooby language, as well as see her performing the arm twist. Maura Mulaney appeared in the first 2 seasons of the iconic show when she was 10. Mulaney appeared in segments encouraging creativity, communication, and cultural exchange among children. She also joined Zoom's touring live performances and contributed to the recording of the album Come On and Zoom in 1974. Her inclusion among a few other cast members to feature both in film segments and regular episodes made her a recognizable figure to early viewers. After her television years, Mulaney pursued various interests, including voiceover work. She joined Amtrak in 1994 as a conductor. Away from the spotlight, she continued to express creative interests through writing and animal care, maintaining a life that combined public service and personal artistry. Zoom stood out because it emphasized peer learning, creativity over perfection, diversity and inclusion, and active participation opposed to passive watching. It aligned with broader educational trends of the 70s that encouraged hands-on learning and self-expression. Zoom was decades ahead of its time. It encouraged user-generated content long before social media. The show helped spark DIY and maker culture with interest in science experiments at home, along with early maker mindset build, try, fail, learn. You can see its DNA in later shows like Bill Nye, The Science Guy, and Mythbusters. Zoom helped shape the identity of PBS Kids programming along shows like Sesame Street. Zoom wasn't just a TV show. It was an early experiment in participatory media. It proved that kids could teach, lead, and create. Education could be fun, collaborative, and empowering. And television could be interacting long before the digital age. Zoom didn't rely on celebrity guests. In fact, it deliberately avoided them. The stars of the show were the cast of kids, the viewers at home, and the shared creativity between them. That decision helped make Zoom feel personal, relatable, and ahead of its time. 1997, WGBH released the video and book set Best of the 70s and Zoomers Revisited. Where are they now? Then in 2008, WGBH released a 2-DVD set Zoom, Back to the 70s. The first DVD was a reissue of the Best of the 70s, with extras consisting of behind-the-scenes stills set to the theme song and a 10-question quiz asking what a few of the cast members are doing today. The second DVD consisted of 4 episodes from the 1970 series. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Gen X Gon' Give It To You. There is nothing like a blast from the past. That's why I'm going to continue the children's education nostalgia with another 2 of our favorite kids shows, The Electric Company and Schoolhouse Rock, on the next episode. I hope y'all are ready to sing. Be sure to tell your friends and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you have a show idea, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas. Later.